Pipe Network presents.
On this episode of season 4, let's talk.
And Elon Musk said like a really, really interesting thing. He said that technology is inevitable. Basically, technology is going to be better and better and better and better, as the years go by. And we can't fight it.
Before we get into this episode, make sure to share this with your family and friends. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Rajiv Show. Hey folks, welcome back to The Rajiv Show, and I'm your host Rajiv Doreswamy. And this show aims to help reach out to those who are currently struggling in life and to remind you that life is indeed beautiful when you're inspired to make it your own. We're back, another Let's Talk series. This time, I'm interviewing one of my. Personally, I see her as my entrepreneur hero because the first time I met this person blew me off of the water. Phenomenal person, very smart, very intellectual, and I've always wanted to have a conversation and record this conversation because every conversation that she says is always gold. Anyway, I want to introduce my guest this time. It's Micah Luarez. Hey, Micah, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Rajiv. That's too sweet of you. I'm kind of flattered.
um, anyway, before we get into the meat and bones of our conversation, could you give a little bit of background of yourself aside from the ones that I gave you?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Micah Luarez. I'm the founder and owner, well, co-founder, because I have a business partner, of Digital Streak, and we are a Canadian digital marketing firm. And right now, actually, we're just rolling out our back office services. So we're trying to outsource back office processes in the Philippines. So that's really a very exciting thing that's happening for me right now. I graduated from UP. I have a bachelor's in film, and I'm an art lover and an entrepreneur.
Just so you know, for those who are listening, the voice that you heard is purely Filipino. Sounds American, right? I just, I just gotta get that straight out. That was my first impression
I'm
when
sorry.
I met her. Yeah, and
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that I grew up in like America, but it's just, I think like a lot of people our age really, or at least my age, like my generation, like we grew up in Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, so you end up speaking like freaking cartoons.
yeah. Anyway, we opened a lot of boxes there, entrepreneurship, art, and we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna unravel all of that in the next coming conversations.
Yeah.
And my first question that I asked my interviewee that I
Yeah.
would ask you is, if you and I were classmates, I know I met you in the year 2020, but if you and I were classmates in
Yeah.
high school, who were you? Were you the sporty one? Were you the one with the books? Were you the one beating up people, bullying them with English? Or who were you if you and I were classmates in high school?
Nah, dude. I would be the person who would volunteer the most. Like in high school, I was always that person, like if for example, if there's like a program or there's a contest or a quiz bee or whatever, I would volunteer myself. If there's like a new extracurricular activity that's opened up, I would sign up just because, and I think it's still true from with my life right now. Like I've always had this mentality of trying everything and making the most out of life, and I think I carry that on until today. And I think it's very important for people to really live their life that way. I mean, I know that everyone has different, backgrounds, and
Mm,
we're not all from the same, backgrounds. But I think we could all try to, live the most out of our lives, no matter where we are in our lives right now. I mean, we
mm,
only have one life.
mm,
Um, and I think we should make the most out of it, and not just have fun, but
mm.
also live the most quality life for yourself and for other people.
Yeah.
So experience what you can experience, but at the same time give back. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now. But yeah, going back to your question, like in high school, I would definitely be the person who would volunteer for everything.
Wow. First question already. We're already off with a good start. This is phenomenal.
Oh.
You mentioned you mentioned that you participate. I gotta ask, does the competitive
Hmm.
nature run in the genetics in the family by any chance?
Oh man. I wouldn't say competitive, but my mom, she's like a perfectionist, or
Hmm,
at least like
that's
she
interesting.
lives up to a standard, right? So
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that she's gonna beat you up if you don't get a perfect score, right? But she
Ooh.
does have high standards, and as a kid, I had to like live through that, like
Hmm.
so when I was in elementary school, like I was always top, in the top 5,
Wow.
and yeah, so there was a time where I was like the top of my class,
Huh.
but then having a parent like that, and I freaking love my mom like so
Hmm.
much. But of
Hmm.
course, like as a kid, and like having a parent like that, where it's like you always have to meet their expectations, it
Hmm.
was really hard. I had to like study my ass off, but then I also enjoyed studying. I enjoyed learning. So that's kind of like one thing that I enjoy until now. Like I enjoy learning new things. So it wasn't really like, I wouldn't say it was like, I would like pull my hair hard, but
Hmm.
it was hard work basically to meet my mom's expectations. But you know what? For all of the kids listening right now, if you're in freaking college or high school, or
Hmm.
even if you're taking like, vocational classes, like, and you have parents like those, it actually pays. Because like I was actually talking to my brother about this earlier when we were having dinner, and I told him, when I have kids, I
Hmm.
would probably also um, impose strict disciplinary, um, I don't know what you call it, not actions, but I would impose strict discipline or some kind of a routine or some kind of a standard to them, probably until they're in high school, or because when you're growing up as a child,
Hmm.
that 1 to 7 years old, that's like your that's a child's foundation years, right?
Yeah.
So whatever skills or whatever routine or whatever discipline that you install in your kids in the first 7 years or the first decade probably of their lives, they're
Hmm.
gonna keep that, right? And
Hmm.
my mom having like a really high standard and me meeting up to them, it might seem like it was hard when I was a child, but
Hmm.
now I'm like just so thankful that she, brought me up that way, because I get my work ethic from her, and at the same time, the way that I'm also living my life, I'm not like I don't I don't really like mediocre. You know what I mean? I don't like mediocre living. I want to be, or at least I want to live my life to the greatest extent that I can.
Hmm.
So that's personally for me,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I understand that everyone has their own situations, but
Yeah.
and I'm sure the greatest extent for other people are different from what my greatest extent is, but it's definitely, I think, wherever people's journey in their lives right now, like I hope they do find that motivation, like at some point in their life to try to live at the greatest extent of their life. And I think it's very important because it really brings you happiness and motivation. when you are trying to aim for something.
Hmm.
Like I definitely do think that's very important thing in a person's life. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, and other people might have an opinion, but that's my personal opinion.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Is opening up so many things that I've never learned about you. But yeah, wow,
Yeah,
that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Um,
yeah. I'm
when
glad I can share with you and your audience.
yeah, and one thing from my introduction I've mentioned I consider you one of the greatest person that I've seen, with the work ethic. Somehow the funny thing about it is I started emulating how you do business, and saying ever since I met
Aw.
you. It's funny. I'm not really sugarcoating this, because the first time we had a conversation and saying yeah, I met you. You were really, tip top. You were not really messing about. You knew what you wanted. And it's funny is it was like a different league. I was talking to a different league, and I felt left behind. But then in the other side, I also am inspired to do what I do the best I could, following your principles. But I never knew it was a thing. It was a passover, like a passing of the torch, which
Mhm.
is really interesting.
Mhm.
It's really
Yeah, and
interesting.
that's all I could really, and that's all, like, I could really ask for, like, that I'm just super happy that I inspired you, because you know um like what I said, like, I am so happy when I see people following their passions, and I see that with you. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I look at your Facebook feed, and I always, it's always in my news feed. Like, you're always, like, trying to market your podcast, trying to market your pages.
Mm.
And I'm just like super proud of what you've done, dude. Like, I mean,
Oh, cheers.
I'm proud of you, and I'm happy that you're so motivated, and keep that motivation, because that's super important.
Before we get into the next conversation, do you have any shout outs? Some shout outs you want to leave?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to my mom and my brother and my business partner Hanessa. She's gonna be listening to this. Yeah, and shout out to God, man. Like, thank you for everything.
Awesome, awesome. Um, speaking about the last thing that you mentioned, motivation. I want to connect my next question to that word, that one particular keyword, and that
Yeah.
is there
Mhm.
a particular
Mhm.
every day when you work, uh, depending on the time schedule that you work on, is there a particular
Mhm.
quotation that you've created that keeps the gravy train moving, or is it a particular quotation from any of the actors, Bruce Lee, or any of these big names by any chance? Do you have that one
Yeah.
particular quote?
Actually, yeah, it's actually on my workbench, and I forgot who said this, but I was listening to a podcast, and one of
Hmm.
those self improvement podcasts. I
Huh.
listen to them while I'm working, and
Hmm.
this guy, he said 1% better each day. So
Hmm.
that really stuck to me, and I actually wrote it down and like put it on my workbench,
Hmm.
because the way that he explained it is, every one of us wants to be better, right? I'm sure
Hmm.
you want to be better. I want to be better, like
Hmm.
so much, so much better. But
Hmm.
then we get so frustrated when we try to like envision our better selves, and then it doesn't happen tomorrow, because
Hmm.
human nature is impatient, right? So when
Yeah.
we say we want to get better, we want to get better tomorrow. And
Yeah.
sometimes our better is like, I don't know, 200%. Like for me, it's like 1,000% of who I am today.
Hmm.
And I can't expect myself to be 1,000% better tomorrow. I'm pretty sure you can't also, right?
Hmm.
And so we get frustrated, and we think, you know, am I ever going to be better? Am I ever going to reach my goals? And then he said, if you really want to be better at whatever it is you're doing, or to just live a better life,
mm,
you gotta remember the 1% rule.
mm,
And the 1% rule says that you just gotta do everything that you're doing, or it applies to everything
mm,
each day. So, for example, right now I'm talking to you, I'm doing some calls with my clients today, I did the grocery shopping, you know,
mm,
I cleaned a little bit. Tomorrow, I'm gonna do that 1% better. Like, I'm gonna live my life 1% better each day. And that's super easy to achieve. 1%
mm.
is like nothing. You know what I mean? Like, if we
Yeah.
try, like
Mm,
1% is actually, such a small thing. But
mm,
if you do it every day and you apply that every day to your
mm,
days, that
mm,
1% is going to pile up, and you're going to be better and better as time goes by. So that's one thing that I really kept in my heart. And I really, think about I see the quote and it says 1% better each day.
wow. I'm always blown away by the things that you've said. I mean, as a major fan, there are a lot of stuff that we haven't discussed the last time we spoke, and this is blowing it really off of the water from the water itself. This is kind of wow. This
Oh,
is a
wow.
phenomenal.
Uh,
It's
you're too
phenomenal.
nice, Rajiv.
No, but I mean that genuinely because my first impression of you when we spoke was the fact that you spoke continuous English is one thing that's very hard to get to get by in Philippines. Um, by now, I would have been a millionaire by how many times I've spoken to people who assume that once I speak English, their first reaction is nosebleed, give me a bucket, in of course the Tagalog version of that. So when we
Yeah.
spoke, it just connected, then it's funny over the series of years, we kept communicating and communicating, and that connection is always consistent, which is kind of interesting in itself. So it's
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal, and having this conversation with you is kind of the biggest honor of the Rajiv show because yeah, I guess as mentioned, I model myself after you and your work ethic and saying. So yeah, it's a phenomenal feeling to even have a conversation, a podcast with you. So yeah, um,
You're too nice. But I'm happy though that even just a little bit, I can motivate people by what I do, and it's not like it's not even like my direct intention, but I'm really
mm,
happy. And to see you flourish as well, like that brings me a lot of happiness, because when I see other people succeed,
mm,
it's just really great,
mm,
because we're all in this journey together, like, to be honest. And I think that's what friendships are really for, like, um it doesn't even have to be like, we don't even have to talk like every day,
mm,
what I'm saying. Like, I have friends that I don't really talk to, like, I talk to them like 3 times a year. But
yeah,
when we do talk, or when I see on their newsfeed, oh, they're moving up, or oh, they just got married, or they're doing some things that are like, like got a scholarship or something like that,
mm,
it inspires you as well, as a person, um to do better with your life. And also, it brings you happiness that the people, your friends, your peers, are doing well as well. So it's really
mm.
great. Like, when I see you post on your Facebook page, and I listen to your podcast, man. Like,
Oh, cheers!
yeah, dude.
Don't make me
When
cry.
I see
Don't
that,
make me cry right
you're
now.
posting a new, oh my god, when I see that you're posting a new episode, like, it's really great. Like, I'm so happy that you actually, because I remember you were just talking about it before, right? And then now it's like a reality, and I'm just like so
Yeah,
proud of you, man.
you know how to make me cry now. Good lord.
No. Don't cry.
Anyway, let's move into we spoke about high school, we spoke about the past. Now let's kind of transition into the future, but looking back into the past. this is gonna be an interesting question. Um, if today was yesterday, what would you keep and let go of?
Hmm. If today was yesterday, as in like maybe college, is that yesterday enough?
Yesterday, I mean, yesterday could be yesterday from even when you were young, high school.
Oh, okay. I would go back to college probably. What I would take is um, what I would keep is my love for learning and experiencing things.
Hmm.
What I would probably get rid of is having too much fun. I mean, because when I was in college, I was just on the extreme, man. It's either I'm on my books
Yeah,
and not talking to anybody,
yeah.
or I'm having too much fun and not going to classes. So
Whoa.
I would probably take a little bit of that away because that
Whoa.
got me in a lot of trouble. But yeah, that I think that would be it, man. Like, I mean, and also probably yeah, no, I think that'll be it because that got me in a lot of trouble. And so I would probably tone down the fun a little bit because I had too much fun.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
uh,
yeah, I
I do
mean,
remember.
before.
Yeah, I do remember a
Mhm.
couple of stories that you mentioned before, but yeah, those, yeah. I mean, in the back of my head during those
Yeah,
conversations, to be honest, during those conversations, it was not just because I was in the right headspace. One was digesting it
yeah.
itself was the challenge.
Oh my god. Yeah, cuz like you know how like right now I'm talking about like living your life to the fullest, right?
Yeah,
I like that's always been my motto since I was a kid, right?
yeah,
But when I was in college,
yeah.
it it was when you're younger, you don't really know yourself that well. So
True.
my living my life to the fullest was very YOLO. So it's like, oh man, I gotta get so drunk today, like there's no tomorrow, or like, oh man, I gotta have the most fun today, like there's no tomorrow. Like live like extreme fun. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
good for a
yeah,
few years or maybe a
yeah,
month or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it's great that I experienced that because now I know my limitations, right?
yeah,
What not to do or not to
yeah,
do exactly. But
yeah,
what I'm trying to say is that as I grow old,
huh,
YOLO has another definition for me now.
yeah,
You only live once has another definition for me now because now I have direction, right?
yeah,
And
mm,
now I know where I want to be. And that YOLO personality is
huh,
now directed to my goals. So it's interesting because when you're younger, you think YOLO is just getting freaking wasted. You know what I'm saying? But then when you get older,
yeah.
YOLO means so many other things. It gets deeper.
Uh,
So I guess that if that answers your question.
yeah, it answers and it opened up so many unboxed boxes in this conversation. It feels like it deserves its own season, just so you know. It's like so many things to unpack
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I mean, you should even have like a season where it's just like YOLO and you're just talking to people who are like, what YOLO means
Definitely,
to them. You get what I mean? Hey, it's an
definitely,
idea.
you'll probably take up like 5 episodes before I guess the next few guests after that. It'll it'll be segmented like
Right.
5 times.
Right.
Yeah, and now my next question is of course this is a two-part question, but it's a one-piece question, and it's
Ah,
simple. What are your thoughts for the future? And my reasoning for the question is, of course, nowadays we're still as we speak, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and things are changing. Technology
mm,
is changing. um, classes,
Mm.
online classes is taking over, and then there are a lot of various forms of learning now that are trying to emerge, and they're trying to sing. And
Yeah.
my question is a two-part question: is what are your thoughts for the future, and of course, what are your thoughts for your future?
Yeah. Yeah, I think my thoughts for the future, like the future as a society,
Mm,
I think that really depends how us as a society, as people, as human beings, go about it or treat each other, right?
mm,
Um, so let me tell you about this podcast. It's the Joe Rogan podcast. I think I'm pretty sure you
mm,
know it. Your audience probably knows it. So he was talking to Elon Musk, right? So Elon Musk is the creator of Tesla,
mm,
and he was saying, Joe Rogan was basically asking him, like, do you think technology is scary? Like, do you think the future we're going to be run by robots, right?
mm,
And Elon Musk said like a really, really interesting thing.
mm,
He said that technology is inevitable. Basically, technology is going to be better and better and better and better, as the years go by. And we can't
mm,
fight it. So the
mm,
only thing that he wishes and the optimistic way to look at that is that the people will or to sync it with their lives and not, for greed or to terrorize each other. Because of course, like for example, right now with the Huawei ban in the USA, like with all of these like security issues and like so many things getting banned, TikTok getting banned because of privacy and security issues. There's like so much anxiety about people using technology the wrong way and how it could like actually, defy our human rights and defy our privacy and how, we'll be controlled by this big corporations. But you gotta understand that
mm,
the people who own those corporations are also people, right? And it's their
mm,
decision, it's their choice to do that way. Now, what I think, going back to the main question, like what I think of the future, I think if we as a society learn to be kind to one another, to treat each other well, and to treat each other with respect and work
mm,
together as a community,
mm,
we can make Elon Musk's optimistic view of, using technology to better our lives possible. So for example, if our generation would just, be nice to each other,
mm,
be kind to each other, understand each other, we're going to be the ones owning the big corporations soon, right? When that technology comes. And if
mm.
we treat each other nicely and we have mutual respect for each other, it wouldn't come to a point where we're terrorizing each other because of technology. So I think basically to answer your question, um, if we treat each other well, if we learn as a society
Mm,
to be good to one another, which really starts in ourselves, right?
mm,
So for example, me as Micah,
mm,
if my baby steps of every day is, being kind to my neighbors, being kind to the people that are serving me in a restaurant, being kind to the cashier in the grocery store, being kind to your guard, being kind to your gardener or your
mm,
helper, that makes a difference. Because
mm.
once we exude or once we are kind to other people, we set an example. And those people will be kind to other people. Basically, the law of paying it forward, right? So I think if we want a
Yeah.
better future and we want to be optimistic about our
Mm,
future, we have to work together as a society, as a whole, human
mm,
beings, to be good to one another. That's the
mm.
only way we're going to have a good future, because right now the future seems doomed, right? Like with all of the news happening there. But remember,
Yeah.
that's the old generation
Yeah.
ruling the world. This is like the baby boomers ruling the world. If us millennials
Mm,
or if the next generation changes the cycle of oppression and the cycle of just using each other and greed, the cycle of greed, if we can change that, then we
mm.
can expect a better future for us and our future kids, if we ever think about having kids. That's what I think about the future.
Okay. What about your vision for your future?
For my future, well, right now, like my of course, you know, the vision is there, but things can change, so you have to be flexible.
Mm,
But for me, my vision for the future really is, I really want to work with a lot of SMEs, small, medium enterprises all over the world. I want to be that person that they go
mm,
to if they need digital marketing,
mm,
especially in the tech. So before COVID, we were almost all of our clients were in the tech industry, because I do believe technology is the future. And
mm,
That's really what I want to do. I want to fly all over the world, working for different tech startups, helping them get their startups
mm,
out there, marketing their startups, and being the
mm.
person that they go to. Like, for example, if you're going to start your own tech startup, you're going to ask your friend who already has a tech startup, and they're going to be like, "Go to Micah." I want to be that person. So that's kind of like that's kind of like my 10-year goal. So when I'm 36, I want to be there. Even earlier, if I can do it in 5 years, I would. So, but I'm slowly
Wow.
getting there, baby steps.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Wow, what a phenomenal conversation. Before we continue this conversation, we're gonna go on a short break, folks.
Hmm.
We'll be back after these few short messages. This episode is sponsored by Dulce House, the online shop for your guilty pleasure. Use the promo code PIPE to buy chocolate chip cookies, Oreo cheesecake cookies, and other baking goodies. The promo code is PIPE. Go to the link in the description to find out more.
For the latest news sa pop culture at social media bardagulan, samahan nyo kami. Ako si Marga.
Ako naman si Bullet sa pinakamasayang comedy current affairs podcast sa balat ng Spotify, Apple Podcast at Google Podcasts.
Mad in Manila. Oh,
O, dalawang chismosa na lang, lalarga na!
Ay, manong kami!
Hey, folks, welcome back to the Rajiv Show. And my guest, my hero, my phenomenal motivating friend, and of course, the first half, as you've heard from the first half, phenomenal conversationalist, and she's got lots on her mind. Just so you know, she's very out there. Now this time we're gonna deviate from saying, and we're gonna talk about one of my favorite topics. Of course, we're gonna start with the art talk segment. And the reason why I want to start art talk segment with you is because you mentioned earlier that you're an art enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta ask,
Mm-hmm.
what is that particular thing about art that draws you? You mentioned also you're into filmmaking. You're a graduate of filmmaker
Uh-huh.
course. So what attracts you in the idea of art?
Uh-huh. Well, art for me, personally, I've always thought, and I don't know, maybe this is just because I'm from UP, but my conviction is art is the best medium for change. Um, I definitely do believe that. So for me, the art that I really resonate with
Hmm.
are art that has a message, has what do you call this? Shows what society is, opens the eyes of the people, of the masses, of what society is like, and shows us that there needs to be a change. I definitely do think that a lot of the people in society are so trapped in our own bubble. And that also goes for me, like, especially here now in COVID, like nobody really goes out, and we're so trapped in our own bubble, we're so trapped in our own privileges that we fail to see what other people are going through, or how people are oppressed outside of our bubble. And I think as an artist, and this is just my personal opinion, this is just my conviction. Of course, there are other there are other philosophies of art there, but for me as an artist, with our talents and by the way that we absorb what we see and know about our surroundings, I
Mm.
definitely do think artists kind of has a responsibility to use their art, use their talent to showcase other people's, what other people are going through, to showcase what's happening in society,
Mm.
and to help make that trigger. Like for example, have you ever seen a movie, or have you ever been moved by an artwork and then it just made you like want to change something about yourself, or it just kind of like, made your heart ache? You know what I'm saying? Like art has that capability, and I think it should definitely be used to, make changes in society, make changes in the world, so that we can have a better place for, us. And if you ever think about having kids, for our kids, man.
Yeah. It's funny. You asked that statement. What's that last movie? The movie that changed you. Funny, it kind of gave it a small trigger in my head because I remember you recommended this anime thing, and
Yeah.
it's funny. I actually want to talk about. I never expect to talk about that. It's funny. After I finished that entire
Mm-hmm.
thing, it was um, it was not something that I would like to watch again after watching, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
it kind of
It's so overwhelming.
yeah, the first time, I mean, although aside from the storytelling, for those who are listening, the thing that we're talking about is this anime, the Your Lie in April. I don't know what's the Japanese translation.
Yeah, Your Lie in April.
Yeah.
I don't
Eh,
even know, man.
yeah.
I just know it is Your Lie in April.
Yeah. And yeah, the few months ago, before my podcast, before I started working on my podcast, Micah suggested, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. Okay, you know, and then suddenly I saw it. Okay, I kind of get the thing. It was just that there were so many sub point that I couldn't really understand. But the main overarching story was kind of whoa, blew me off of the water. And then it's funny. I wanted to see if there was a live action, and I was scrolling to YouTube, and I found out there's an actual uh, live
Oh,
action take of it.
really?
Yeah, and
Oh, I didn't even know that.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think I saw that twice, and m- the music, the music of that the music, the artistry from the animation. Of course, there are so many details that saying when I think after I saw that animation, it was phenomenal. When I finished that episode, I think the last episode of that. I think it's around 5 a.m. in the morning or 6 a.m. in the morning, and it was beautiful. I don't think I told you this or saying. I actually once I finished that and I looked out my window. It was a phenomenal phenomenal sunrise. So it's kind of symbolic. And the last time I clicked that link by accident somewhere in my Google Chrome when I was heading somewhere else. I don't know where I was heading, but I was heading
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else. And then suddenly I accidentally clicked that, and then those emotional triggers, if you know what I mean, those emotional triggers just went. Oh boy, you're gonna start crying. Believe me, don't cancel this. Yeah, but yeah, it was
But
really.
what did it mean for you though? I would love to know what the anime meant for you. Like, how did it impact you?
Um, from my standpoint, one was the characters. They connected with me. It was just that I think at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I've also mentioned this in a couple of episodes in the PPD show, and of course
Mm-hmm.
some episodes with
Mm-hmm.
my fellow colleagues from the Philippine Podcast Directory. Is that this
Mm-hmm.
year is
Mm-hmm.
one of my transitory years into trying something new outside of my realm. And I think I have made the
Nice.
decision. I've made the decision to move past art and music as a general, but not to say
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't lost the work ethic that I've learned
Right. R-
from music and
Right.
art. And
Right.
it's really interesting. And I want to transition. And of course, when I met before I met you, of course, I met my mentor. Uh, when I met him, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I had another conversation with someone who influenced me also to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and one thing led to the other. That's what got me to reading books and what got me into the idea of entrepreneurship. And I
Mm.
started hanging around with my mentor, and then the year 2020 I met you, and then you took the envisionment of the idea and that that main identity of being an entrepreneur, and you took it to another level because I saw you how you operated in that level. It was like, it Paul Rudd said it best. It's like saying when he saw Captain America, it was like seeing a magnificent kind of painting. So it's like a surreal feeling, and I asked myself, "Wow, that's the life." There's so many questions I had during that day, but yeah, I mean, when I saw you doing your business, I said, "Wow." Uh, the main point that
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make here is that uh, entrepreneurship is something that I've always wanted to get into ever since, of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And when
Right.
I met all of you guys, associate myself in that community. Although, yeah, there are a lot of things that community has to offer that you need to go through, and it's that's my fascination for entrepreneurship. And hopefully hopefully somewhere down the line, few more projects down the line, something interesting is gonna happen, and hopefully we get there when we get there. So yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, we're all in our different journeys. Like my journey is different from yours. Your timeline is different from my
Yeah,
timeline, But the good thing is that you're taking those baby steps, and you got that road. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah,
not a lot of people realize, um, what they want to do with their lives. But when
true,
they do,
true,
the path is just, you can just see it, the
yeah,
things that you need to do,
mm,
the things that you need to like really concentrate and work on.
yeah,
It's just there, it's like laid out for you, and all you have to do is walk that path. Now that
yeah,
path is not going to be easy, you know what
mm,
I'm saying? Like, of
yeah,
course there's going to be like hard times, there's
mm,
going to be hills and mountains, but
mm,
it's worth it. It's like taking a hike. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It's like taking a hike. You hate yourself for waking up at 4 a.m. to like climb a mountain, but
yeah,
when you're there, it's just great. It's not even like on the peak. When you're there, just like climbing that mountain with friends, and like you just realizing, hey, you know what? I can actually do this. Or when you're taking that step, climbing that mountain, going on that hike, and you're saying, hey, you know what? I thought when I woke up in bed, this is a
yeah,
bad idea. But now that
yeah,
I'm here, yeah, it might be kind of hard. It might not be something that I'm used to, but like, I'm
yeah,
killing it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And I'm just happy that you found yours, man.
yeah. I want to transition to entrepreneurship for a few minutes. um I think
Yeah.
the last time we had a conversation, and you mentioned that you used to work for a digital marketing company, and then you transitioned into
Mm-hmm.
your own venture. I
Mm-hmm.
still remember that conversation very distinctively. And the first question was,
Mm-hmm.
during that pivotal point, that switch from where you from where you were transitioning, didn't you ask yourself that question? What am I
Mm-hmm.
doing? What am I doing? Am I scared? What was your initial reactions when you transitioned?
Um, I actually didn't ask myself what the heck I'm doing,
Hmm.
because I knew exactly. Okay, so Here's a backstory about like how I came, for our listeners right here, how I started my own company. So I actually started working online back in 2016, and I got hired for a digital marketing company, and I was an assistant project manager there.
Mm.
And then basically, as an assistant project manager, I was working directly with the project manager, and she was helping. She was basically having me do all of these like entry level stuff. You know what I mean, like copy pasting, doing Excel sheets and stuff like that. Um, and then just started talking to my project manager, like, what do you do? Like, what do you have to do for this? And I just started taking the initiative of like kind of boils back to, the high school question that you had, right? So I'm the type of person who always volunteers myself. So when I was working as an assistant project manager, I would be, because I work quick, right? And that's just who I am. When I'm done with my task, I would always ask her, is there anything else you want me to do? So as time went by, she made me do more than the task, more than the original task that I was hired to do, right? Because I was taking initiative. Now, some might say that, hey, you're just getting paid this much. Why are you doing more, But then that for me, because I saw what they were doing as a project manager, and I was like, hey, I can do that. So I started getting more tasks. I started getting more responsibilities until after 2 months of being an assistant project manager, I was promoted to be a project manager. And then from there, I got to really start talking to the clients. Yeah. And then, so as a project manager, basically you're talking to the clients, you're asking them what they want. And then that's when I started, making a relationship with clients and learning how to talk to them. No, I'm a very friendly person. So that's just who I am.
Yeah, I've
and
noticed.
that's actually one of the things that, yeah. And that's actually one of the things that I brought from my personal life to my business life. I treat all of my clients with as much respect as my friends. And I actually really care about them. And in business, I was actually talking to my friends about this last night. And in business, that's very, very important. Now, if there was one thing that I learned all throughout the years of working, it's to be good to your clients, to ask them, go the extra mile to be their friend. Because when you're friends with your clients, you can empathize with them. You can understand what they're doing with their business and why they're doing this with their business. And it's a lot easier for you to help them, right? So anyways, going back to the story. So I was a project manager, and then I got another offer to be an operations manager in another digital marketing company. And then, so I took the offer because the pay is a lot better. And then after that, unfortunately, my boss at that time committed suicide.
Oh boy.
So I was out of a job, right? Good thing I had like some savings, and I was able to stay afloat. And then I got another offer to be the basically like the overseer of like the remote team here in the Philippines. And that's what I did. Now, my point here is as you progress in your career, the more responsibilities you actually have, right? And that's not a bad thing. Like for some people, it might be like, oh, so tiring, right? That's not a bad thing, because the more responsibilities you have, the more you learn, right? So when I was overseeing the remote team here in the Philippines, I got to talk to the clients, and I was like on the phone all the time with my boss. I saw how he worked, and with my last boss as well, I saw how he worked. Now, one of the things that I would advise anybody who's like working online right now or as a freelancer, talk to your boss, ask them questions, ask them why they're doing this for their business. Give them some advice as well. If you think you have ideas to help flourish your business, give them their advice. That way, you and your boss can converse, and you can learn more. Because like and like what I said, treat them as your friend, right? Because that way, you're learning and understanding how a CEO works. So So when I started my company, I already kind of got exactly how these digital marketing firms were
Mm.
operating, right? Because I was in the operations, and at the same time I was front end talking to the client. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, why am I only getting paid this much when my boss is making this much? You know what I mean? Why do I need a middleman, right?
Yeah.
Because basically, they not just like start my own company. And then so me and my co-worker, who's like my really close friend as well,
Yeah.
we were like, while we were working, we were also working at our website. So
Yeah.
we created our website in like 2 days, in the middle of like doing tasks and meetings. Like if we have free time, just go back and like make the website. So I always say, if you want to do something, it's possible. Never
Mm.
there. So going back to your question, did I ever think like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
No, because I took all of my experiences, like, which goes back, live your life to the fullest.
Mm.
Those job experiences that I had as an assistant project manager, as a project manager, as an operations manager, I I learned as much as I could,
Mm.
right? I learned how the business works, what they do, what services that they offer, so that when I actually started my own company, I was confident in my skills, and I was confident that I could do it. And also, I have a business partner, which is like super, super, super great. She's like such an amazing woman, and it's really made the change, having someone to help you with your business and just really keep you grounded. So yeah, I guess that answers the question.
Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, I would love to continue this conversation about entrepreneurship and art soon. Hopefully, in the coming seasons, we'd
Yeah.
get a roundtable podcast, and let's get everybody. And I'd love to learn a lot. I mean, as a transitory, I don't know what the word is, but I'm a transitioning entrepreneur, and I really I wanna up my game. I mean, you're the first person that always comes to mind. What would Micah do? That is the first thing that. And then of course, yeah,
Aw.
it's it's always phenomenal to download stuff from you, because at least thing you know what you're doing. I mean, it's powerful. This conversation is in itself is so powerful. I mean, yeah, it blows my mind. It blows my mind, and hopefully the conversation will continue in the next coming seasons. If my listeners out there are tuning in and they want to get to know you, they want to get to know and study you, and they want to work under you, how do they find you online?
Yeah, you can actually get in touch with me through my Facebook. That's Janelle Micah Luarez. Or you can go to my website. So my email and phone number is there, www.digitalstreaks.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Digital Streaks. So that's our Facebook page, and that's the website. So, or if you have any questions or you just want to email me, you can email me at jmicahluarez@gmail.com. So yeah.
Anywho, with that in mind, I want to say thank you to my guest, a phenomenal conversationalist, Micah. I'm just gonna say Micah. I'm not even gonna pronounce the first name and the last name. The legendary Micah. Thank you so much for being a part of the Rajiv show, and I hope you come back to the Rajiv
Yeah, no
show.
problem, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, and for those who are
Yeah,
tuning in,
definitely, definitely.
yeah, for those who are tuning in, I hope you learned a thing or two in this conversation. With that in mind, cheers, folks, and stay safe.